Priyanshi is here reporting on the Q1 GDP figures, which is good news for India. Priyanshi.
That's right, Sonia. A very impressive figure of 13.5% double-digit growth. But let's tell you both the good and bad about these figures that have been released. It's the highest GDP growth that we've seen in a year. India's economy grew by 13.5% in the last quarter. That was from April to June. It's the highest quarterly growth that we've seen in a year, but it has sharply missed RBI's estimate of 16.2%. So this might impact RBI's annual growth estimate of 7.2%. As well. We'll see whether that happens. But this is the second highest quarterly GDP growth we've ever seen. As you can see in that graph, it's the highest growth recorded that we earlier saw was 20% in Q1 last year. And after this, it's this 13.5% figure. But the growth is on a low base. Remember, this 13% is in comparison to April to June last year when the second wave hit India and the economy was, of course, disrupted. But good news is that the quarterly GDP growth figure has finally surpassed pre-pandemic levels. The GDP absolute figure has surpassed pre-pandemic levels, even though by just 3.4%. Quarterly GDP is now almost 37 lakh crore compared to 35.7 lakh crore before the pandemic in 2020. So we've definitely surpassed the pre-pandemic figures. Now, what's behind this GDP growth? Private consumption is up by 40% compared to the same quarter last year, while gross fixed capital formation is up by 31%. One sector that has performed really well is agriculture, forestry and fishing. The sector's gross value added has doubled to 4.5% from 2.2%. But the manufacturing sector growth is disappointing and that's lagging. It has slowed from 49% last year to 4.8% this time. But if we talk about the overall GDP figure, India is certainly recovering. We performed better than even China as well for the 4 quarters out of the last 5 quarters. China's quarterly growth slowed to 0.4%, while we grew by 13%. The data for growth of the 8 core industries has also been released, and that has slowed down to a 6-month low of 4.5% in July, down from 9.9% in July 2021. So a mix of really good and bad signs on the economy. There are signs of recovery as well. There you can see the comparison with China. As I said, we've performed better than China in the last 4 quarters out of 5. So definitely signs of recovery, but the recovery is well below estimates.
Right, Priyanshi, thanks so much for that update.